The gas station was quiet, lit only by a flickering sign. The night was cold. Vanessa Carter stood barefoot on the concrete, arms crossed over her chest. Her dress was short and tight, not made for a night like this. Her mascara had run down her cheeks, mixing with tears. She looked small, alone, and lost. Her husband, Marcus Carter, sat in the car with the engine running. He was a successful real estate broker, always dressed sharp, always in control, but his voice inside the car was cold and cruel. "You embarrassed me tonight," he said, his words sharp like knives. "Do you know how you looked? Like you were for sale." Vanessa's voice was soft, shaky. "I wore this for you. I just wanted to feel good, to feel beautiful, for you." Marcus didn't care. He talked over her. "You made a scene in front of my co-workers, my client." She tried again, but he raised his voice louder. "Enough." Then, without warning, he reached across her and unlocked the door. He didn't yell. He didn't touch her. He just looked her in the eye and said, "Get out. Think about what kind of wife you want to be." Vanessa froze. "What?" But Marcus didn't answer. She barely had time to grab her purse before he pushed the door open. She stepped out, confused, hurt, thinking maybe he was bluffing. But the door closed, and the car pulled away, the red taillights glowing in the dark. She stood there, stunned, watching the lights disappear down the empty road. It was quiet now, too quiet, the kind of silence that made your heart pound louder. Vanessa hugged herself. The cold crept into her skin. She had no shoes, no coat, nothing but that tight dress she'd worn to make him happy. A single tear rolled down her cheek. Inside the small gas station, a young attendant peeked through the window. He saw her but didn't come out. Maybe he didn't know what to do. Maybe he didn't want to get involved. Vanessa didn't move. She didn't cry out. She just stood there, in the cold night, under the flickering light, as if trying to understand what had just happened. The road was dark, and Vanessa walked along it slowly. Her feet were sore, her dress still clinging to her skin from the cold. Cars passed now and then, but none stopped. She didn't cry. Not anymore. She had cried enough. Her face was quiet now, but her mind was full of noise. 2 weeks earlier, her life had looked so different, at least from the outside. Vanessa had been married to Marcus for 5 years. In the beginning, he had been kind, funny, and charming. He used to bring her flowers, take her on fancy dates, tell her she was beautiful. She thought she had found the man of her dreams. But things changed, slowly. Marcus became colder with time. He started controlling little things, how she spoke, how she dressed, even how much she ate. He said it was because he wanted the best for her. He said it was about respect and presentation. She believed him at first. Vanessa had once been a nurse. She loved helping people. But Marcus wanted her full support for his career. He said, "Why work when I can take care of everything?" He said he needed her to be his rock, so she gave up nursing. She became the perfect wife, at least the kind he wanted. She cleaned, smiled at business dinners, stayed quiet, and wore the clothes he picked. Dresses that made her feel like a doll, shoes that hurt her feet, lipstick shades she never liked. She stopped talking to friends. Marcus said they were a bad influence. Even phone calls to family became rare. When her mother died 2 years ago, something in Vanessa broke. Her mother had been her only real support. After that, she felt truly alone. Marcus told people they had the perfect life, a big house in Atlanta, nice cars, fancy clothes. But inside those walls, it felt like a cage. She lived by his rules. If she stepped out of line, he would make her feel small, worthless. He never hit her, not then, but his words cut just as deep. Marcus had grown up poor. He hated the feeling of being powerless. So now, as a man with money and success, he believed control meant strength. He thought leadership meant being feared. He hid his cruelty behind his suits and smiles. Most people never saw it, but Vanessa saw it every day. Her only connection to her old life was Tasha, a friend from her nursing days. Tasha would text now and then. "How are you, V? Miss you." Vanessa never shared much. She was scared, embarrassed, maybe even ashamed, but she always wrote back, even if it was just a short reply. It was something. As Vanessa walked along the empty road, her mind kept flashing back. Dinners where Marcus snapped at her for saying the wrong thing. Mornings where he commented on her weight. Parties where he praised her like a trophy, then scolded her on the drive home. And that night at the gas station, that was the first time she talked back. The first time she said something out loud, in front of others, that he didn't like. She had told him his words were hurtful. She had said she didn't like how he spoke to her. Just a few simple words. But in Marcus's world, that was enough. Enough for him to leave her standing barefoot in the cold. She didn't regret speaking up. Not really. Something had been growing inside her. A quiet strength. It wasn't loud or angry. It didn't scream. It was slow and soft, like a flame that refused to die. For years, she had told herself to keep the peace, to be good, to stay quiet. But maybe that was changing. Maybe the woman Marcus had tried to erase was still in there. She kept walking. Each step hurt, but she didn't stop. Her arms hugged her body for warmth. Her heart beat steady. She didn't know where the road would lead, but she knew one thing. She couldn't go back to who she was before. The morning came, cold and grey. Vanessa had walked for hours along dark roads, past empty fields and silent trees. Her feet were sore, her body tired. She hadn't slept. She hadn't eaten. Her phone had barely enough battery left, but she used it to call the only person she could trust. Tasha answered right away. Her voice was full of worry. When Vanessa told her what had happened, there was a long pause. "He left you out there, alone. Are you serious?" Tasha sounded shocked. That's not love. That's not even human." Vanessa didn't say much. Her voice was flat. "Can you come get me?" "Of course," Tasha said. "I'm on my way." It took Tasha 45 minutes to reach her. She pulled up beside Vanessa on the side of the road, jumped out of the car, and hugged her tight. Tasha drove them to her apartment, small but warm, with blankets, tea, and quiet music playing. She tried to talk, but Vanessa barely answered. She just sat on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, staring at nothing. "You can stay here, you know," Tasha said gently. "For as long as you need." Vanessa shook her head. I think it was just a bad night. He was angry. I shouldn't have talked back in public." Tasha frowned. Listen to yourself. You didn't deserve any of that. You're allowed to have a voice." But Vanessa wasn't ready. Her mind still held onto the hope that things could go back to how they were, or at least how they used to feel in the beginning. The next day, Vanessa went back home. Marcus was in the kitchen making coffee like nothing had happened. He looked up when she walked in. "You're back? Good," he said calmly. "Next time, think before you make a scene. Don't make me choose between my image and your emotions again." Vanessa said nothing. She walked past him, feeling like a ghost in her own house. That night, something kept her awake. A quiet voice in her head, a sense that something wasn't right. She walked into Marcus's home office. His laptop was open, the screen glowing in the dark. She wasn't sure what made her do it. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was the silence between them. But she sat down and opened his email. At first, it was work messages. Nothing strange. But then she saw a folder labeled Personal. She clicked. Inside was a long email thread with a woman named Alison Green. The messages weren't about work. They were full of private jokes, flirty comments, and promises to meet again soon. Some were deeply emotional. Some were clearly sexual. They talked like lovers, like partners. Vanessa scrolled through the words, her hands shaking. Her heart sank with every line. All the things Marcus used to say to her, now written to someone else. Alison Green. She knew the name. Marcus had once called her an important client, a big deal for the business. Now she saw the truth. Her knees felt weak. She leaned against the desk, trying to breathe. All the years she had given up, her career, her freedom, her voice, all the pain she had swallowed to keep their life together, and now this. Behind her, the door opened. Marcus walked in. "What are you doing?" he asked, his tone unreadable. Vanessa didn't answer. She simply closed the laptop, stood up, and walked past him without a word. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. Not yet. But something inside her had shifted. Something quiet, but powerful. Something that wasn't going away. The days that followed were quiet, but heavy. Everything around Vanessa looked the same. Clean house, neat garden, polite smiles when neighbors waved. But inside, it felt like walking through a field full of landmines. At any moment, something could explode. Vanessa didn't speak much. She moved through her days carefully, like a shadow in her own home. But something inside her had changed. After seeing those emails with Alison, she couldn't unsee them. She couldn't pretend anymore. She started to document everything. Late at night, when Marcus was asleep, she would take photos of the marks he left on her arms during arguments, small bruises that could be explained away. but she knew the truth. She used a voice recorder app on her phone to quietly record their fights. His cruel words, the way he belittled her. She took screenshots of the emails with Allison and saved them in a secret folder online. Step by step, she was building proof. One afternoon, while Marcus was at work, she called the number Tasha had given her. It was a women's support line. A kind voice answered and asked if she was safe. Vanessa didn't say much at first. Just, I need someone to talk to. They connected her with a therapist who specialized in emotional abuse. Therapy started over the phone, just once a week at first. Vanessa found it hard to talk, but slowly, the words came. He controls everything, she said during one call. My clothes, my food, even how I smile in pictures. Later, she said quietly, he didn't just hit me, he erased me. That night, Marcus noticed something was different. Maybe she was a little too quiet. Maybe she didn't jump to answer when he called her name. Whatever it was, he saw the shift. He grew tense, watched her more, asked strange questions. Who are you texting? Why were you in the guest room? You've been distant lately. Vanessa lied calmly, just tired, just cleaning, just thinking. But he didn't believe her. Then, one night, it happened. They were in the kitchen. A simple argument started over dinner. Something small, meaningless. But Marcus's voice got louder, his eyes sharper. He shouted, and when Vanessa turned her back to walk away, he grabbed her arm and slapped her across the face. Time froze. The room went quiet. Both of them just stood there. Marcus's face turned pale. He looked shocked at himself. He stepped back, shaking his head. I didn't mean to. God, V, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. He started to cry. Please, baby, I didn't mean to. You just made me so angry. Don't leave me. Don't give up on us. Vanessa didn't speak. She didn't cry either. She touched her cheek, then calmly walked to the bathroom and closed the door. She looked at herself in the mirror. Red mark on her face, a small cut on her lip, and eyes that no longer looked afraid, just done. She took a photo. She didn't leave that night. She stayed. But not because she was scared. She stayed because she was planning. In therapy, she learned about restraining orders. The therapist asked if there was any event where Marcus had abandoned her or left her in danger. Vanessa told her about the gas station. The therapist said that could count as spousal abandonment, a strong point in court. Vanessa started keeping her important papers in a secret bag under the bed. ID, money, old nursing certificate. One afternoon, while Marcus was in a meeting, she searched through some of his office drawers. Inside, she found folders with real estate paperwork. Some of it looked strange. She didn't understand all the numbers, but something felt off. Hidden accounts, fake client names. She took photos and saved them, just in case. Later, she asked Tasha about nursing programs. If I wanted to go back, she said casually, how would I start? Tasha sent her a link. Vanessa didn't tell anyone, not even her therapist, but she enrolled in a nursing recertification course online. Quietly, no paper trail, just a private email, a quiet goal. Each day after that felt like a small act of rebellion. She would smile at Marcus at breakfast, listen to his stories, nod at the right times. But inside, she was building something. Not revenge, not hate, freedom. It wasn't easy. Some nights she cried in the shower, silent and shaking. Some days she doubted herself. What if she failed? What if Marcus found out? What if no one believed her? But every time fear crept in, she thought about that slap, that look in his eyes, the way he begged afterward like nothing happened. And she reminded herself, she wasn't crazy, she wasn't weak. She was getting ready. The storm hadn't come yet, but the clouds were building. And Vanessa, she was no longer afraid of the rain. The restaurant was full of laughter, music, and the clinking of glasses. It was Marcus Carter's birthday, and the room was packed with friends, co-workers, and business partners. The table was long, decorated with candles and gold napkins. Everyone was dressed sharp, drinking expensive wine, and smiling like nothing was wrong. Vanessa arrived a few minutes late. Heads turned as she walked in. She was wearing a bold red dress, the same one she wore the night Marcus left her at that lonely gas station. This time, she wore it with confidence. Her hair was done, her chin high, her step steady. She looked calm, strong. Marcus stood up when he saw her. His smile was tight. Glad you made it, he said. Vanessa smiled back. Wouldn't miss it. Dinner went on. People chatted. Jokes were told. Vanessa sat quietly for most of it, but her eyes never stopped watching. Then, as the waiters brought out the cake, Vanessa stood up and held up her glass. Can I say a few words? She asked. Everyone turned toward her. Marcus smiled again, proud, expecting praise. Vanessa cleared her throat. To my husband, she began. The man who taught me something very important. She looked straight at Marcus. He taught me that love without respect is not love at all. It's a cage. It's control. It's fear in a pretty house. Some people in the room shifted uncomfortably. Marcus froze. Vanessa reached into her purse and pulled out a small remote. She pressed a button. A projector hidden behind the curtain came to life. The lights dimmed slightly. The screen lit up on the wall behind her. The first image was of her face, red marks on her cheek, a bruise on her arm. Gasps filled the room. The next slide showed screenshots. Long, flirty emails between Marcus and Alison Green. Messages full of love and plans for secret weekends. Then came the recordings. Marcus yelling, swearing, belittling her. His voice filled the room, loud and sharp. More gasps. Silence. Some people looked away. Others stared at Marcus with wide eyes. Marcus jumped up. "Turn it off!" he shouted. "What the hell is this?" He rushed toward the screen, but Vanessa stepped aside calmly. At that moment, 2 uniformed officers entered the room. They walked straight toward Marcus. "Marcus Carter," one of them said, "you're under arrest for domestic abuse and financial fraud." "No! This is crazy!" Marcus shouted. "You can't do this!" He looked at Vanessa with fire in his eyes. "You think you're strong now? You're nothing without me." Vanessa didn't flinch. She looked him dead in the eyes. "I used to believe that," she said softly. "Now I know better." The officers handcuffed Marcus as the room watched in stunned silence. Some people turned away. Others whispered. No one defended him. As they led him out, Marcus yelled, "You'll regret this! You'll see!" But Vanessa didn't look back. She took a deep breath and set down her glass. She didn't cry. She didn't shake. She simply stood there, quiet and steady, as the world around her caught up to the truth she had lived with for far too long. And for the first time in years, she felt free. 6 months had passed. Vanessa now worked as a nurse again at a small community hospital. She wore her scrubs with pride and walked the halls with calm confidence. Her patients liked her gentle voice and kind eyes. The other nurses respected her, even though they didn't know everything she had been through. She lived in a cozy apartment, not far from the hospital. It was small, but it was hers. The walls were painted a soft blue, and sunlight came through the windows in the morning. There were fresh flowers on the table, books on the shelf, and a coffee mug that said, "Strong women heal." It had taken time, but she had rebuilt her life, step by step. The legal fight against Marcus was long and stressful. He had powerful lawyers, but Vanessa stayed calm and told the truth. Her quiet courage made people listen. In the end, Marcus lost everything: his real estate license, his reputation, and his money. The fraud charges stuck. His assets were frozen. Even Alison, the woman he had cheated with, had come forward and testified against him. Vanessa didn't feel hate, just peace. Tasha came by often. They watched movies, cooked dinner, and laughed about old times. Sometimes they cried too, but mostly they smiled. Vanessa also volunteered at a local shelter for women. Some came with bruises. Some came with just broken hearts. Vanessa listened to their stories, gave medical care when needed, and told them gently, "You're not alone." She never pushed. She never judged. She just stood beside them, the way no one had done for her for a long time. In one of her therapy sessions, her therapist looked at her and asked, "Do you feel safe now?" Vanessa paused. Then she nodded. "For the first time in years," she said. One quiet evening, Vanessa was folding laundry. She opened her closet to put away a sweater, and there it was, the red dress. The same one from that terrible night at the gas station. The same one she wore at Marcus's birthday dinner. When she finally stood up for herself, she touched the fabric lightly and smiled. "I wore that to get his attention," she whispered. "Now, I wear what I want for me." The dress stayed in the closet, but now it held a new meaning. Not pain, but power. Her life was simple, but it was hers. It was early morning. The sky was soft with light, and the air felt fresh and quiet. Birds were starting to sing. Vanessa drove along a quiet road, her hands steady on the wheel. Music played low from the radio, a calm, hopeful song. The same road she once walked on barefoot now passed under her tires as she moved forward, stronger than ever. She slowed down as she reached a familiar place. The gas station, the same one from that night, the night she was left alone, crying and cold. The flickering sign was still there, buzzing quietly. The pavement looked the same, but everything felt different now. Vanessa parked for a moment and stepped out of the car. She looked around, at the empty spot where she had once stood, arms crossed, mascara running, unsure of what would come next. She knelt by one of the gas pumps and pulled a small envelope from her jacket pocket. She slid it carefully under the edge of the pump, where someone would see it. Inside was a simple note. To the next woman he tries to break, you are not alone. Choose yourself. She stood up, took a deep breath, and smiled gently. Then, she got back in her car. This time, she was the one driving. She turned up the music, rolled down the window, and let the morning sun warm her face. And as she drove away, the road ahead was wide open. Do you think Vanessa made the right choice by exposing Marcus and walking away from that life? Or should she have tried to fix things one more time? Let me know what you think in the comments. I'd really love to hear your thoughts. And if you want more powerful stories like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update.